many, St. Patrick's Day in St. Paul signals the start of spring.
This weekend, unseasonably warm temperatures have been accompanied by unbelievable performances. One team was carried by 67 saves, and another advanced with 6 unanswered goals against their rivals. This year's Final Five has put the spring into the step of 2 teams. Tonight, North Dakota hopes for a little luck from the green, while Denver hopes to find a pot of goals. The WCHA Final Five championship game starts now. St. Patrick's Day in St. Paul meant a day-long celebration. The parade through the capital city gives way to hockey fans tonight as North Dakota and Denver prepare to battle for the WCHA playoff championship. There'll be plenty of green inside because North Dakota is here looking for a three-peat. They'll face the same team they battled in the championship game a year ago in the Denver Pioneers. 2 teams playing their best hockey. North Dakota at one point this year was 2-6 in league play. They were 8-1 overall before surging in the second half. They're one of the country's hottest teams at 16-4-2 in their last 22. Same story for Denver. Pioneers were picked to win the WCHA, but limped from the gates at 10-8-3. Second half of the year, they have been nearly unbeatable, 15-4-1. Welcome inside the XL Energy Center as we continue our coverage of the 2012 Red Baron WCHA Final Five with Kevin Gorg. I'm Anthony LaPanta. It's a rematch of last year's championship game, and it's a matchup of 2 teams that have frankly dominated the WCHA for the last decade.
Yeah, they certainly have 2 great coaches behind the bench. Certainly no mistake that they're here, and these teams playing their best hockey right now. And this is one of those games where I think you look at the rivalry that these teams have. They played once this year, 1 series. Lots of penalty minutes in that series. It's going to be an intense, rugged game. There's a trophy on the line, and most importantly, Anthony, there's momentum into the NCAA that these teams need to have.
Each team playing their 3rd game in 3 nights, but that doesn't begin to describe the road for Denver. In their first round playoff series, they had to go to game 3 against Wisconsin and had to go overtime in that 3rd game before Luke Salazar won it on the wraparound. That sent the Pioneers to St. Paul. Then they had to score late just to tie a game against Michigan Tech before Jason Zucker won it in overtime on Thursday. And then on Friday, after letting a 3-goal lead get away against Duluth, they went into double overtime against the defending national champs before freshman Zach LaRaza scored his first collegiate goal to win it for the Pioneers. One of the questions is, what do they have left in the tank? Marty Gellner is with Drew Shore.
Hey, Drew, it's been a whirlwind for you guys. You're playing your 6th game in 9 nights here tonight, and they've been emotional games too, and your tank's got to be close to empty, but how much are you guys just running on adrenaline right now?
Yeah, I mean, anytime it's a championship game, you don't really think about your legs, so I think everyone's going to be ready to go tonight, and it should be a great game.
You guys had the advantage of being able to watch North Dakota last night, but you saw how UND can come back and steamroll an opponent when they get rolling. What is the best way for you guys to keep UND in check tonight?
Well, they're definitely a momentum team. When they get going, they're very good, so we hope we come out and have a good start in the first and then roll from there.
All right, Drew, good luck to you tonight.
Thank you.
There's Drew Shore. He and the Denver Pioneers have plenty of hardware from this tournament. 15 Broadmoor trophies. They're hoping tonight brings number 16 to the collection. Anthony?
In order to do that, they'd have to stop North Dakota's quest for a three-peat, and that would mean stopping North Dakota's offense. They'll need goaltending to do it. And interestingly, Denver has played 2 different goaltenders in the first 2 games of this tournament. On Thursday, it was Juho Okanora, and he was very good. 27 of 29 shots stopped against Michigan Tech to help Denver advance. But as was the case last weekend, George Gwozdecky went to a different goaltender in Game 2, and Sam Britton set a school record with 67 saves against Duluth.
Yeah, 67's a big number. Then how about the quality of chances that he stopped? Without Sam Britton, the Pioneers are not in this championship game. George Gwozdecky has an embarrassment of riches, and guess what? Britton will not get the start. It is Okanora tonight, who has solid numbers, as you can see, who was good, not spectacular 2 nights ago. A lot of coaches out there probably would have played Sam Britton, but George Gwozdecky gets the big picture. He wants to save Britton for next week when the NCAA starts.
On the other side tonight is the 2-time defending champs from North Dakota. And last night, North Dakota was on the ropes, to say the least. Down 3-0 against Minnesota. Totally dominated for the first 30 minutes of the game. Out of nowhere, they scored 6 in a row in a span of just over 20 minutes to knock the defending regular season champs out.
This was an amazing comeback by North Dakota. In the first half of the game, they were being outshot 21-4. They weren't in the hockey game. Minnesota was dominating. They turned it around. They got a goal late in the second period, and then once that game went 3-2, they had the momentum, and they rode that to the win.
Fighting Sioux head coach Dave Hackstall said it was like nothing he had seen before.
Never been part of a game quite like that. I mean, momentum shifts in the game of hockey, you know, are always a big part of the game. But that's the biggest and most distinct momentum shift from the first 30 minutes of a hockey game to the final 30 minutes of the hockey game that I've seen. Fortunately, we were on the right side of it.
North Dakota was on the right side of it, due in large part to the play of their top line. Their best players have been their best players in this tournament, combining for 6 goals in the 2 games.
Yeah, no mystery what this front line's all about. They've got good puck skills, no doubt, but they also have that physical play and that edge that they play on that is typical of Dave Hackstall and North Dakota hockey. Nelson, Knight, and Christo have tremendous skills, and they also can back it up with tremendous physical play.
North Dakota and Denver, for the 2nd year in a row, will meet in the championship game. The Fighting Sioux looking to become the first to win 3 in a row. The Pioneers trying to gain revenge. We drop the puck next. The Red Baron WCHA Final 5 is presented by Red Baron. Taste the legend. By Great Clips, it's gonna be great. By Kellogg's, bringing our best to you. And by the Microsoft Store. Check out the new Windows Phone at the Microsoft Store at Mall of America. Come see how much fun a smartphone can be. Denver and North Dakota to meet for the conference championship. Danny Christo provides energy for the Fighting Sioux every night. He's with Marty Gellner.
Danny, people are still talking about the remarkable comeback by you guys. The negative in that, though, is you got off to a slow start. What do you guys need to do differently tonight to know you're ready when the puck drops against Denver?
I think we're going to try to bring that momentum from 3rd period last night to the 1st period tonight. Denver playing back-to-back overtime games, so they should have tired legs to try to bring that momentum from the 3rd period to tonight's 1st period.
And you just played Denver on the road about 3 weeks ago and split in that series. What did you learn from that series that can help you tonight?
You know, we lost on Saturday. I think they had 4 power play goals. They got a great power play, so we got to stay out of the box tonight and get pucks deep and go to work down low on their D. They only got 5 D. I think they got some injuries, so that's our game plan.
All right, Danny, good luck to you tonight. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Our Kellogg's goaltender matchup tonight. Aaron Dell gets the start again for North Dakota. He's been very good all weekend long for the Fighting Sioux. 16-9-2 on the season. And on the other end, as we mentioned, Yuho Okanora will start for Denver. He beat Michigan Tech on Thursday. Then had the night off as Sam Britton set a school record with 67 saves last night in their win against Minnesota Duluth.
Time for the game plan here in this championship game with hardware on the line. We'll start with North Dakota. The Fighting Sioux have got to bring that physical play. They've got to intimidate. They've got to bang the bodies on the back end. Denver's only trying to play 5 defensemen this weekend. 6 game and 9 nights. If North Dakota's physical, they can wear Denver down. For the Pioneers, they have a speed edge in this hockey game. They've got to create odd number rushes by being in good position without the puck, specifically in the neutral zone. If they can get some turnovers, they can be off to the races in 2-on-1 and 3-on-2 situations. And for both teams, special teams will dictate who wins tonight. You've got to get to the power play. You've got to be good on that penalty kill. The last time they played in the 2 games, there was over 120 minutes of penalties called.
71 penalty minutes in that Game 2 win for Denver. Dave Hackstall, the head man for North Dakota, once again has his team in position to win a conference championship. They try to be the first to three-peat. George Gwozdecky has had his team in this game more often than most. In fact, if you go back to 1996, this championship game has had one or both of these teams every season but one.
Remarkable number. It just shocks me to hear that, but it tells you that these two teams, for the most part, have been the class. They have found a way. It's no mystery. They're back here again tonight.
Pre-game ceremony here on the ice, honoring some of the award winners in the WCHA. You see Mel Pearson, the Michigan Tech head coach, was named the coach of the year. He had his Huskies here in the Final Five, but were beaten by Denver in overtime. But the matchup here tonight, Kevin, is between the two teams for whom everybody's been gunning in the WCHA in recent years. And as I talked to a number of coaches throughout the weekend, once their teams were out almost to a man, they'd say, we want to get our team to where those two stand.
Yeah, you can see it here in the tail of the tape. Look what these teams have done to get here. It's no mystery. It starts behind the bench, in my opinion. Guys like Dave Haxtell and George Gwozdecky win, and they don't win by accident. They recruit the right kind of kids to fit their style, to fit the way they want to run the program, and they keep their players there. More often than not, players want to play 3 and 4 years at these two programs. When you get players to stay, when you have a coach and a coaching staff that puts you in a position to win, and you have skill abound, you're going to have success for a long time, and these two teams have epitomized that. And that's why tonight they're meeting again. And although it didn't look logical coming into the weekend that we'd see Denver and North Dakota in the championship game, they both beat great teams to get here. I think everybody penciled in UMD and Minnesota in this championship game. These guys are here and they're on a mission, and right now they're both red hot.
One team took down the defending national champs. The other took down the league's regular season champ. And now they stand toe-to-toe to battle for the Broadmoor Trophy here in downtown St. Paul tonight in front of a heavily partisan North Dakota crowd that has absolutely jammed the XL Energy Center tonight.
It feels like a bigger version of the Ralph Engelstad Arena. There is green everywhere, maybe a couple hundred Denver fans in the house. This is really a road game for the guys wearing white. We'll see how that plays a part. I'll tell you one thing, North Dakota's crowd certainly helped in that momentum run against Minnesota last night. They rose up with their hockey team.
And a bit of a delay. It's like an ice issue in the neutral zone before we start tonight. Our referees tonight will try and do a little reparation. Don Adam and Tim Walsh are the referees. Tony Check and Jeff Schultz are the linesmen.
Teams don't like this. You get all amped up. You're ready to play. Ceremony's one thing, but then now to have the ice with a malfunction there right in the neutral zone, you tell both these teams are jumping. They want to play hockey. You can see the North Dakota bench. Every player on that bench is standing up. So this delay is not helping either one of these squads.
It's a rematch of this championship game from a year ago. North Dakota won it 3-2 in overtime. Game that went back and forth. Great skill on both sides. Same goaltender matchup was present. Anthony Miotti tied it late for Denver, and then Matt Fratton won it in overtime for North Dakota. We are underway. Don't need to tell you, but the Fighting Sioux are in green, and Denver's in white. Play comes into the Denver zone. Lee retreats and tosses it out to neutral ice, where Ben Blood has it for North Dakota. Blood to Knight. Nelson into the Denver zone. Fires, and it deflects wide. Loose puck gathered in by Zucker, who starts up the left wing. Zucker hits the North Dakota line. Fires from a sharp angle wide of the net. And the rebound rolls out to neutral. Joey LaLeggia, freshman of the year in the WCHA, to Zucker into the circle. Has it stripped away by Blood and played it in back of the net to Doremus. Doremus is pinned to the wall in the corner by Forbert, and Blood has it for the Fighting Sioux. To Parks on the right wing, chips it off the glass and sends McMillan in. McMillan center, tried to go back to Parks. That failed to clip, and Salazar has it for Denver.
Good pace so far, not surprisingly. The physical play starting already. North Dakota trying to impose their will on the Pioneers.
Matson hammers it in for North Dakota, and LaLeggia is back to pick it up for Denver. Pass off escape, lines up in the North Dakota zone. Matson got it to McMillan at neutral ice. Now it's bobbled, and it allows Denver a chance to get it in with Drew Shore. Loose puck, lines up in the stick of Patton to Gleason. Onside at the line, Ronnie fires wide. Rebound picked up by Shore on the far wall for Denver. Shore to the near side. Shot goes high and wide by Ryder, and Denver has to get back outside as Dewars dumps it in. Panzarella takes a hit. Puck hops high in the air. Panzarella has it back, got it out to center. Ryder whacks it into the far corner. North Dakota picks it up there with Simpson. Lee at center for the Pioneers. They're onside at the line. Jackson, top of the circle, fires right on, and Aaron Dell makes the game's first save. George Gwozdecky isn't concerned about his team's energy tonight.
I think at this point of the season, it's not so much the physical conditioning, it's the mental part of the game. And you know, you deal with that in every game at this time of year, and certainly part of it is the fatigue. But you know, we'll dress 13 forwards again, and you know, we'll try to roll as many of our forwards as we possibly can in the game to keep our forwards fresh. We want them to determine the tempo of the game.
George Gwozdecky, for the second game in a row, has had to dress 13 forwards and 5 defensemen. Paul Phillips was knocked out early in the quarterfinal win over Michigan Tech, one of their go-to defensemen, and has not been back for the rest of the weekend. Dewars fires and a glove save by Aaron Dell. And of course, that 13th forward last night was the hero, Zach LaRaza, who wasn't even expected to play this weekend, wound up scoring the winner in the second overtime against UMD.
Yep, lucky number 13 in the forward depth chart gets it done with his first collegiate goal. Early on, both these teams still trying to feel each other out. Both goaltenders have now a chance to play the puck, and that's important early. It's a very nervous position, especially in a big game, and for both these guys to get out and handle the puck once. That was a glove save by Aaron Dell. He was a subtle, big factor in North Dakota rallying to beat Minnesota last night. When that game was 3-0 and his team was being dominated, he made a couple of saves that could have allowed Minnesota to go up 4 or 5-0. Had Minnesota gotten that fourth goal, Gophers might be playing this hockey game. Aaron Dell bought his team enough time to come back and get that improbable 6-goal rally.
Big hit thrown by Forbert at neutral ice. Mermis is back on his feet with the puck across to LaLeggia, who dumps it in. Mermis hustles after it on the far wall, takes a hit from Forbert. Blood got it to Nelson, who carries out for North Dakota. Corbin Knight hits the Denver line, drops to Nelson. Bouncing puck. Winds up right on the stick of Corbin Knight, who fires, but Okanora makes the save for Denver.
Yep, typical North Dakota, creating turnovers with their physical play. A great hit in the neutral zone by Forbert, and then going to the net hard and always in position for a rebound. And most important for Okanora to follow this format all night long. He's got to control his rebounds. There's the great hit in the neutral zone. Good clean hit, separation, turnover, and then watch the green. Watch them buzz to the net right there. They're always around looking for a rebound. You've got to control your rebounds if you're going to play goaltender against this hockey team.
Play comes out to neutral ice. Fired back into the Denver zone. Didier hustles after it. Ryder relays it to the far wall. Ronnie takes a hit there. Nick Shore to Didier. Now Zucker with it. Shore brothers, both Denver natives, in the lineup for the Pioneers tonight. Drew Shore, the junior, the higher scoring of the two. Nick Shore, the sophomore, centers the second line, is known more for his work at both ends of the rink. Parks in the corner to Ronnie for North Dakota. Patton swoops in and grabs a loose puck. Parks has it there. Watched by Shore. Centers! Ryder wasn't looking, and Ronnie couldn't get a clean handle on it. or he would have had an awful lot of net at which to shoot.
Sustained forecheck again by the Fighting Sioux. They've been the team that has brought the better game early, approaching the 5-minute mark here of the first period, and not seeing the legs that I thought I would see from Denver early in this hockey game.
Zucker up the right wing. Tries to work his way around Blood, and Blood just calmly knocks him off the puck. Much better start for North Dakota, and as surprising as the turnaround was last night, I was more surprised with the fact that they didn't have their top energy right out of the gates. You don't see that often at this time of year from North Dakota. No score early. No score, just about 5 minutes into this first period. This is the third time that North Dakota and Denver have met in the championship game. St. Cloud has faced North Dakota a couple of times. Minnesota has faced North Dakota 3 times. It's the 6th overall Final 5 meeting between the teams. Denver has won 3 of the first 5, but North Dakota has won the last 2.
This is one of those rivalries that I really like watching. 2 great teams, 2 contrasting styles. There's always been a touch of bad blood between these 2 squads, and I can't figure it out. I get Minnesota, Wisconsin. I get UMD, North Dakota, and of course I get North Dakota, Minnesota, but I think it's just the fact that these teams have been so good, they're always chasing a championship, that over the years, there's been a lot of disdain back and forth, and it's just seemed to elevate year by year by year. So far, it's been pretty clean, but I would expect as this game goes on, that animosity will bubble again.
Well, the biggest thing that builds a rivalry are meaningful games at the end of a season, and these teams seem to play them every year. Knight with a tip, that went wide. Then you throw in that many times their regular season battles weigh heavily in the battle for the Broadmoor, the McNaughton Cup. And it stands to reason that the intensity would be ramped up every time they hit the ice.
No doubt about it.
Cristo up the right wing, fires right on, saved by Okanora. Gave away a juicy rebound, but the Denver defense able to cover up in time. Jackson. Pioneers bottled up in their own zone a bit. Simpson at center. Out it to Patton, who dumps it in. Didier back to pick it up. Didier harassed by Patton as he tried to carry out of the zone. Got it loose, and now Durst works his way around Panzarella, whose shot deflects up off the glass. Fight continues along the wall, and Gleason finally has it for North Dakota. Gleason dumps it in. Flies by LaLeggia, then LaLeggia hammers him into the boards. To the point, McWilliam a shot that goes wide. Matson tries to hold the zone but can't. It's forced out to center by Dewars. Matson in his own end for North Dakota. Denver completes a change, and Matson carries out. He's harassed here by LaRaza, the man who scored the winner last night. Jacobson tries to enter the North Dakota zone but takes a check. And now on the far wall, heading Sioux with it, Sinkfield. Drops it back, McWilliam, and now Matson. Matson carries to the red line, flips it in on the backhand. North Dakota wants to change. Didier around to the near side looking for Jacobson. It's been a long shift for the Denver fourth line. Blood fires it in.
Denver really back on their heels. Watching their forecheck, they are keeping their second and third forechecker out high. They are really not aggressive at all attacking North Dakota on this end of the rink, and it's allowing North Dakota a ton of puck possession, which has really tilted the ice back towards the Denver end.
Nick Shore up the left wing, battles with Ronnie in the corner. Center, Zucker fires, didn't get much on it, and a glove save by Dell. Here's what North Dakota coach Dave Hackstall had to say about the matchup with the Pioneers tonight.
We've had so many great games over the past, really the past 10 years, and there's always a lot of transition. You know, there's a good amount of solid physical play. I think both teams have good specialty teams. There's just, you know, there's so many good elements to the game, and I think you'll see that tonight. It should be a good, solid hockey game. Like I said, 2 teams on equal footing, fighting for the exact same thing.
They're fighting for the Broadmoor Trophy They're also fighting for a #1 regional seed in the NCAA tournament. Coming into tonight's game, North Dakota #4 in the pairwise, Denver #10. But the winner of this game, I'm not quite sure how some of the other conferences may affect it, but the winner of this game will be in the top 4 in the national rankings. If Denver wins, they climb to 4. If North Dakota wins, they stand to finish 3rd.
Isn't that amazing how it can change so fast? Denver a couple nights ago was having to win just to stay off the bubble. They could end up with a 1 seed. North Dakota came in kind of the same scenario. You win big games at the right time, you can move up in a hurry, and I like that format.
Out to center ice. Simpson retreats there. Both coaches felt like the winner of this game would likely land right back here in St. Paul next weekend as the #1 seed. LaLeggia drops it to Nick Shore. That's possible because Minnesota's loss last night means they'll be a 3 seed. So they'll be a host. They'll be here, but they'll be seeded 3rd, and that opens the door for another WCHA team to be here as a #1. Panzarella across to Simpson, back to Panzarella. Turnover at neutral ice. Mayfield carries it in, and a weak flip on goal, held by Dell. No score. We'll take a look at recent success here by North Dakota next. North Dakota trying to become the first team to three-peat in the history of the Final Five. It would be their 4th title in the last 7 years. They won it in 2006 over St. Cloud State. They then beat the Huskies again in 2010, 5-3. And then, of course, last year in double overtime, Matt Fratton scored for the Fighting Sioux to defeat the same Denver team 3-2. Now they're back in the final with an opportunity for the trifecta. Shore fires and a save by Dell. We're going to face off in the North Dakota zone just about halfway through a scoreless first period.
Denver starting to find their footing. They've turned the shots around on North Dakota with 4 consecutive. None real dangerous, grade 8 type of chances, but nonetheless scoring chances and momentum on the offensive end, which we didn't see early from the Pioneers. And energy is going to be something that we'll track throughout this contest. 6th game in 9 days after 3 consecutive overtime games and double overtime yesterday. The one advantage they had, Anthony, was that game was an afternoon game yesterday where North Dakota played that emotional game at night. But other than that, the energy should favor the guys in green.
Ronnie. Pinned to the wall by Lee. McMillan takes a hit from Ryder. Lee comes away with it to the line, but not out. Now the Pioneers are 4-on-3 at center. Lee has it poke checked away as he hit the North Dakota line. We've got a penalty coming against Denver. Lee took a jab at Parks after Parks stood him up at the line, and it's going to cost the Pioneers. Lee will go, and North Dakota gets the game's first power play.
Not a smart penalty here by the senior out of Moorhead, Minnesota, John Lee. He's one of the captains of this hockey team. He should know better. Needed to get this puck in deep, didn't do it, was frustrated by the play at the blue line. And then the double whammy is he took a penalty, and a senseless one at that, to give North Dakota the first opportunity on the power play. And George Gwozdecky cannot be happy with this situation because, as we've mentioned earlier, they're down to 5 defensemen. Lee, one of their keys on the penalty kill. Here you see the play, and he's frustrated, and he takes a jab. And the stick up high. Both these power plays been very, very good all year, but specifically here down the stretch.
North Dakota's 2 for 4 this weekend. You see their numbers on the year, 22.1%. 5th in the conference, but 11th in the country. Very good power play for North Dakota. Knight has his shot deflect wide. Didn't have a lot of luck against Denver head-to-head this year. 1 for 8. Nelson fires, and a pad save by Okanora. Cristo on the half wall to Corbin Knight. Back to Cristo. Cristo down low, intercepted by Didier to the half wall and chipped out. North Dakota scored on their only power play against Minnesota in the semifinals last night. Denver's penalty kill, on the other hand, has been rolling lately. 23 out of 24 in their last 8 games.
So far, Denver's done a great job of this penalty kill, not allowing North Dakota a chance to set up. Very disruptive with their sticks, and now they're on the attack shorthanded.
Ostro with a long wrist shot that's held by Aaron Dell. Halfway through the power play, will be a face-off in the North Dakota zone.
A big part of North Dakota's slow start last night against Minnesota was the fact that they were taking all the penalties. It happened early in the hockey game, opening couple of shifts. They were shorthanded. They took the first 4 and allowed Minnesota to build that lead. Tonight, a different recipe from Hackstall and the Fighting Sioux. They get the first power play, and they've been the aggressors so far throughout most of this first period.
Blood hits the Denver line. Knocked off of his stick, but Parks digs it free. Parks spins in the corner. Wants to play down low and does to Gorder. Now Blood winds and fires, and it was blocked. Ostro got a shin pad on it. Parks with it in the corner. Tried to go back to Gorder, but it's intercepted and cleared. And North Dakota's down to a half minute in the power play.
Nothing cooking so far in this power play. The theme has been Denver in the right position. Active sticks, bodies in shooting lanes, and there you see it again. Another turnover created by the proper play in the neutral zone at the attacking blue line. And this will pretty much salt away the first 5-on-4 scenario of the hockey game.
Matson starts out for North Dakota. Power play is over, and Denver is back at full strength. Another solid effort by their penalty killers.
A lot of times when you get a big penalty kill early, it can give your team energy. We'll see if that happens for Denver right now. These next couple of shifts, see if their play ramps up.
Mermis took a hit from Cristo and lost the puck. Mayfield around to the far side boards. Ryder starts out of his zone. Nick Shore with a shot that deflects off the end wall. LaRaza pinned up against the boards. Lee at the point. Wanted to go to Mermis in the corner. Now Mermis tries to walk out front. His shot at the side of the net. Lee handles the bouncing puck. LaLeggia cannot keep it in the zone. And Denver will have to retouch. Panzarella back to pick it up. On the right wing, Lamoureux. Poked off of his stick. It stays in play. Lamoureux's then knocked down from behind just inside the Denver blue line. Forbert throws it ahead. Rink wide pass out of the reach of Patton. LaLeggia back after it. Gleason from the half wall turns and fires. Blocked by Salazar. Not many offensive chances for either team here through the middle part of the first period.
Well, you're right, the flow has been disjointed here, and both teams right now having a hard time connecting on more than one pass consecutively, which is really bogging this hockey game down as we head to the final 6 minutes of this opening stanza.
Sinkfield for North Dakota. To McMillan, who hammers it in. LaRaza has earned a significant increase in his ice time after scoring the winner last night. McMillan centers. A couple of big hits thrown, and Denver starts back. Pioneers 3-on-2 at center. Salazar fires. Dell knocks it down with the glove. Drew Shore has it. High in the slot, puts it across to Mayfield. Mayfield, a long one, skate saved by Dell. Nelson to the corner. Patton takes a hit. Gorder can't get it out. Drew Shore has it, but he'll play it back to Lee at center. Now they're back in offside. Drew Shore waited just a hair too long. Still scoreless late first period. No score late first period. In this Broadmoor Trophy Championship game, you have a chance to get all the highlights from the Final Five sent directly to your smartphone or tablet. All you have to do is scan the QR code that you see in the lower left-hand corner of your screen. You get all the instant highlights. You can also text the word highlights to 234-234 from your wireless device.
Once again, there's been some amazing play this weekend here at the WCHA Final Five. We've seen spectacular goaltending, overtime winning goals, great physical play, and get all those highlights right to your mobile device, have them with you, show off to your friends, and send them along the way.
Zucker Broken up by Blood on the second try. He sent it wide, and McMillan starts back for North Dakota. Kicks it ahead to Parks. Parks has it roll off the end of his stick. He takes a hit from Ryder. Ronnie fights to keep it alive. Blood at the point. Waits, still with it. Fires. Glove save, Okanora.
Easy save that time for Okanora because he had great vision. There was no traffic established by the Fighting Sioux in that slot area. You can see he had a great look at this. Again, most college goalies, once that separates, you can see he waits it out and then just puts that big glove up. Fly trap holds on, and inside the final 5 minutes, still waiting for a team to take over this hockey game. North Dakota had the jump early. Lately, though, it's been kind of disjointed. Not a lot happening here offensively. Not a lot of odd number rushes created by either team. And really, I wouldn't say any grade A chances, so no big time saves in this hockey game. Shots 8-7 in favor of Denver. Really kind of a feeling out process, I would say, so far through the first 15 and change.
Panzarella across to Simpson. Lee back after it for Denver. Dumped by Knight behind the net. Cristo walks to the slot. Cristo still with it. Off the glass, in behind. Knight and Lee collide there. Brock Nelson after it. He's had a big weekend. 3 goals. 2 last night against Minnesota. Battle continues. Lee goes back after it for Denver. Lee starts out and rolls it ahead. Jackson enters the North Dakota line. Takes a hit along the far wall. He's tied up by Simpson. Centering pass. Durst with a shot right on. And Dell makes one of his bigger saves of the night.
It's a grade A chance all the way right there, and a big time save by Dell. Denver and North Dakota scoreless in the championship game.
No score. St. Patrick's Day Saturday night. And I think that's a small reason why we see green in the building tonight.
I don't think St. Patrick's Day has anything to do with the green we're seeing. Nobody travels better than North Dakota. They bring all the folks down, and they are well represented here in downtown St. Paul tonight. A huge home ice advantage for the Fighting Sioux.
Patton flips it high in the air, and Mayfield goes back to pick it up. Lamoureux tied up from behind. Penalty coming against Denver. Lamoureux was hooked. It took away a scoring chance. And for the second time in this first period, North Dakota goes on the power play.
Boy, Lamoureux's had a great 24 hours. Came in with 1 goal this weekend. He scored 2 last night against his arch rivals from Minnesota. Now the captain of North Dakota gets into the slot, into a good position, ready to unwind the howitzer, taken down. Easy call for the officials. Textbook hook. Consecutive power plays now for North Dakota. Last time, nothing cooking. No grade A chances and not a lot of offensive flow. We'll see if that trend continues, or we'll see if North Dakota can solve this aggressive penalty kill of the Pioneers.
Tabram actually argued with that call.
I saw that.
You ever wonder sometimes when a call is that obvious?
I think they're just so used to arguing. You know, really, truthfully, I think they feel like if they argue that maybe the next call won't go their way, but I mean, it's ridiculous to argue a penalty that blatant.
Nick Shore up the left wing. Short-handed for Denver, centers, and it's tipped just wide by Lee.
Nice job by John Lee to hop into the rush. Defenseman activating into the offense, saw numbers, even though short-handed, and nearly a golden scoring chance on the net, just deflected over the cage.
Denver's penalty kill very good on North Dakota's first power play of the night. They had just 1 shot. Now clicking at an amazing 96% over their last 8+ games. 24 kills in the last 25 short-handed situations.
That'll win you some hockey games, won't it, when you get the penalty kill like that?
Blood fakes the shot, feeds forward, back to Blood, tees it up and fires. Stick save by Okanora. Gorder walks out front, his shot deflects up into the netting. And a face-off coming in the Denver zone. Connor Gorder had a big series against Bemidji State in the first round, scored a goal in each game. North Dakota swept the Beavers to advance here to St. Paul.
Yeah, Corder still, again, a freshman learning as he goes. Late in the year, you'll start to see these freshmen kind of have the light bulb go off. Corder's a guy that had a ton of success down the road at Edina High School. He's going to be a great hockey player at this level. He's starting to show some of that pedigree here late in his first year at North Dakota. Now the Sioux starting to get some flow on the power play. They had 3 bodies right there in front of the net.
Simpson fires, save, Volkanor! Rebound, score! Brock Nelson's 4th of the weekend!
Crowd really into this hockey game. The North Dakota fans all over the building, and they like what they see off an offensive zone face-up in the power play. This is a prototypical goal for North Dakota, and more specifically for Brock Nelson. He does all the little things the right way. Grew up in Warroad, old-time hockey all the way. Get the puck to the net, and then crash that net looking for a rebound. And we talked about it earlier. If Volkanor is going to give up rebounds like that, it's going to be a long night for the Pioneers. A little juicy second look. A physical forward out-muscling a defender, and an easy chip into the back of the net, and the Fighting Sioux, looking for their 3rd consecutive Broadmoor trophy, have taken the early lead.
Simpson and Knight assist on the 27th goal of the season for Brock Nelson, and as I mentioned, his 4th this weekend.
Best players on the biggest stage have got to rise up, and for North Dakota, they made a huge difference last night, and they're off to a good start this evening as well.
Blood has his shot blocked. Corbett. Long one deflected on the way. Mayfield has it. Off the glass to the line. Garima's trying to poke it out. Can't do it. Mayfield throws a couple of hits. Ryder takes his man down in the corner. Pioneers better be careful. They're on the verge of taking another penalty in a couple of those situations.
And they're frustrated right now. They really can't get their game going. They want to play speed hockey, and this game has been on the wall in the trenches. And that's the way the game's going to be played. It certainly favors North Dakota.
Corbett centers. Centering pass. Score!
You're watching a North Dakota team right now playing at their highest level. They're peaking here as we get ready for the NCAAs. You can see the puck movement, the puck support, and the decision-making with that puck. Excellent work. And you can see Carter Rowney get a step on the weak side. Once he gets past that defender, it's an easy play to get that puck over to the weak side pipe, and a chippy again. Both goals right in front of that blue paint. Denver right now in a world of trouble.
It's like a fighter on the ropes, just hoping to get to the bell right now. A minute 15 to go. 2-0 North Dakota. 2 goals in less than a minute here late in the first period. And suddenly the green and black playing with confidence. This pass nearly sent Knight in alone. Lee in the corner. Puck deflects to neutral. Salazar on the right wing, too far for Shore. We're in the final minute of the first period. Ryder waits. Corner, it's Drew Shore, tried to center. Forbert takes it away. Christo in the skates of Nelson. Loney works his way back into the North Dakota zone. Fires, saved by Dell. And he hangs on to the rebound. The shots are 10-10, but that does not indicate the way this game flow has gone, especially over the last half of this first period.
Not at all. I mean, North Dakota just beaming with confidence. Let's not forget, at the end of that St. Cloud State game, they scored the final 3 goals. Then they scored the final 6 goals last night. They're off to a great start tonight. 2 goals late in this first period. We've got the crowd into the game. They're feeling good, and Denver right now, like you mentioned, wants to get to that locker room with George Gwozdecky, try to regroup and build towards a winning second period.
Durst run over by McWilliam. Ryder around to the far side. And the horn sounds, ending the first period. And we've got Lamoureux and Ostro going toe-to-toe at the buzzer. One extra jab after the bell. And the referees dive in. Frustrating first period for the Pioneers as North Dakota scores twice in less than a minute late. And the Fighting Sioux, looking for the three-peat, have a 2-goal lead. We'll hear from Carter Ronnie next.
North Dakota comes to life late. It's 2-0 UND over Denver after one period back at XL Energy Center. I'm Marnie Gellner with Carter Rowney, who has one of the Fighting Sioux goals. Carter, it was kind of a slow first period, maybe a feeling out process. What clicked for you guys late that led to these 2 goals?
Definitely just coming in, trying to get our legs back in us after yesterday's games. I'm sure both teams battled hard yesterday, and in order to get in this situation, I guess both teams just had to get into it. And then I think our key was just to keep sticking with it, getting pucks deep and get them into their defensive hands, and hopefully they cough it up and give us chances.
And we have seen it from you guys throughout this tournament. When you get rolling, there's a lot of steam behind this team. What is it that keeps the momentum from you now that you've built here in the late in the first?
Yeah, definitely. I think we just got to try and roll all 4 lines throughout the whole game. We got to keep going, short shifts, keep rolling all our lines, and let everyone contribute. And I think that's what's been successful lately.
Congratulations on the goal, and good luck here the rest of the way.
All right, thank you very much.
The Fighting Sioux have a 2-0 lead right now over the Denver Pioneers. That pairwise situation is still fluid. We'll take a look at that and where Denver and North Dakota sit coming up next.
North Dakota with a 2-0 lead over Denver. Minnesota fans have become Denver fans apparently tonight. Here's a look at the pairwise rankings coming into tonight's game. North Dakota currently tied for 4th. UMD 8, Denver 10, Minnesota 11. But there is so much that will change if North Dakota wins tonight. They finished 3. Now there's some other games that could impact it, but North Dakota at 3, Duluth 8, Minnesota 11, Denver 12. But if Denver wins, Denver 4, North Dakota 8, Duluth 9, Minnesota 10.
Yeah, number 2 there, Michigan they're trailing right now 2-0 late in the second against Western Michigan in the championship game in the CCHA. A lot can change. Bottom line is right now, though, North Dakota has a 2-goal lead in the inside track to a number 1 seed, which seemed almost impossible a month ago.
Fun to watch the scoreboard, especially when you're not wondering whether or not you'll get in. These teams are just wondering where they'll be seated. We'll look at highlights from the first period next. North Dakota 2, Denver nothing after 1. Welcome back as we continue with the 2012 Red Baron WCHA Final 5 with Kevin Gorg. I'm Anthony LaPanta. North Dakota trying to become the first team ever to three-peat, and they scored a pair of goals late in the first period, less than a minute apart. There are great clips of the period.
Yeah, it really was slow to go, but in the last 5 minutes, North Dakota really started to take over this hockey game. And off the power play, they win a face-off. And look at Brock Nelson, the Warroad native, going to the net, getting a rebound, and cashing it in. And it didn't take long for North Dakota to strike gold again. Great play through the neutral zone. And watch the weak side. Watch Carter Rowney find that puck, chip it home. 2-0 North Dakota. Shots are even at 10, but they certainly had the edge as far as play goes in period number 1.
Take a look at our Red Baron first period stats. North Dakota with a 4-3 edge in scoring chances. 1 for 2 on the power play. Denver has not yet had a man advantage opportunity. We'll drop the puck on the second period next. 2-0 for the defending champs after 1.
Before we begin the second period at XL Energy Center, assistant coach for Denver, Steve Miller, joins us here outside the locker room. It was a pretty uneventful first period until the end. North Dakota finished with a bang. What do you guys do now to gain some of that momentum back?
Well, I think we just got to get back to our original game plan, and that was getting the puck going north and trying to create some transition chances in the neutral zone and getting a good forecheck going. Unfortunately, made a couple mistakes there at the end of the period, and now it's 2-0, and now we got to battle back.
There have been many comments about your team. 6 games in 9 days. That's incredible. But I know a lot of these guys are running on adrenaline. Are you seeing the fatigue at all in the legs?
I mean, I think when you look back at the film, you might. But right now, the boys they're trying their hardest. They're just grinding.
Coach, thanks for your time. Good luck to you.
Thanks, Marnie.
There's assistant coach Steve Miller for the Denver Pioneers. Upstairs, Anthony and Kevin take us away into the second period.
We will. I don't know that it's something that stood out on any specific play, but usually where you see that leg fatigue is the guy that glides for just a step while back checking, and the little things that afterward you mentally know you made a mistake and were just a step late getting where you're supposed to be.
You watch the board battles too, that takes energy, and I think right now Denver's been out-muscled a little bit on the wall, and their speed has not been a big factor in this hockey game, and you can't tell me 6 games in 9 days with overtime mixed in isn't a part of that. And also North Dakota's been a very difficult team to play against because they're playing very hard and very physical.
Blood at the point. We're 4 on 4. There were penalties against Lamoureux and Ostro at 20 minutes of the period. We saw that skirmish just as we left you at the end of the opening period. Shore back in his own end to LaLeggia. Back to Shore. Shore and Zucker hit center ice 2 on 2. Zucker trying to work to the outside around McWilliam. McWilliam has really been solid on the North Dakota blue line all weekend. Mayfield fires, intercepted by McWilliam on the way. Christo at center for North Dakota. Circles back, and the Fighting Sioux will attack up the left wing with Matson. Matson fires, pad save, Okanora. Mayfield ahead to Drew Shore. 2 on 2 the other way. Shore cuts to the slot, his shot deflects wide. Shore tried to play it to the point. Salazar couldn't hold the zone, and North Dakota has it at center with McMillan. McMillan, who's had a big playoff for the Fighting Sioux, 2 assists here this weekend, 6 points in their 4 playoff games, a goal and 5 assists.
Seems like North Dakota's getting production from a lot of different places. Had a guy yesterday came in with 1 goal in the year, scored 2 in that one over Minnesota with Lamoureux's big night. You just see a team right now that's rising up and playing with an awful lot of confidence.
5 aside as the penalties against Lamoureux and Ostro have expired. At center, Lee wraps it in for Denver, and it'll be icing against the Pioneers. And a face-off back in their zone.
Okanora, net for Denver, has been giving up a lot of juicy rebounds in the slot. Here's another one, and his team did a great job that time. Both players in white out-muscled the green to defend the net. You're going to play against North Dakota. You cannot continue to kick pucks back in that slot area. It's cost them a goal already on the power play to start the scoring when Brock Nelson netted the first for North Dakota. I like his quickness, I like his athletic ability, but if you're going to play that butterfly style, you better start kicking that puck to the wall in the corner or gobbling it up, because North Dakota will kill you in front of the net.
Lamoureux tipped it to the slot. It's intercepted by Lee. Relayed out to center by Dewars. Patton swoops back after it for North Dakota. Simpson around behind the net to Panzarella. Back to Simpson. Denver completes a change, and the Fighting Sioux start out. We mentioned earlier the regular season series between these two, a split. Gleason centers. Lamoureux is tied up, and from the far side, the return shot at the side of the net. In that series, North Dakota won the Friday night game 4-3. It was not as close as the score would indicate. Denver scored a couple late goals. Then on Saturday night, the Pioneers dominated in a 5-3 win. We're going to get another penalty against Denver. Ryder will go for roughing, and North Dakota gets their 3rd power play of the night.
And you're starting to see that frustration now on the side of Denver. They're on the short end of the score. They don't have the energy I think they want to have. And now you can see it again right now in the neutral zone brewing. There's a lot of talking back and forth, and you'll see right here, absolutely contact to the head. You can call that an elbow. You can call it a roughing. Either way, not a smart penalty. Didn't take away a scoring chance. And down 2 goals already. This is a very dangerous 2 minutes for the Pioneers.
Fighting Sioux 1 for 2 on the power play. Shot from the point, hops over the stick of Knight. Christo now with it. Sidesteps lead. Christo carries down low, centers. Loose to the point, a drive that goes wide by Simpson. Christo has it back. Fight along the corner. Christo tried to walk free to the slot. Now Matson to Knight. Around behind the net. LaLeggia gets there before Nelson. And Lee is able to clear for Denver.
Trying to get fresh bodies on the ice. All 4 penalty killers to the bench. That's a big clear by Denver. Approaching the halfway point of this penalty kill with fresh bodies out there to have energy to take away some of these shooting lanes for North Dakota, who's looking for a big goal to go up 3.
Shore pokes it loose, and it's a 3-on-2 shorthanded rush for Denver. Drew Shore, the trailer, bobbled the pass, and now it's an odd man rush the other way. Ronnie tries to center. Okanoa got there and broke it up.
Great back check by Zucker to disrupt that play as well, and a good save by Okanoa, straddling it down low.
Parks for Gorder. Fires, save, Okanoa. Puck is loose. Parks couldn't get there in time. Drew Shore did well to break it up. 2-on-2 at the other end. Zucker to Nick Shore, back to Drew Shore, and it hops off of his stick again. An aggressive penalty kill for Denver with the 2 Shores and Zucker on the ice, 3 of their 4 players.
No doubt they're trying to catch North Dakota napping and get off to the races off a block shot or a turnover on the penalty kill. And right now, George Gwozdecky sensing the urgency. I like the decision.
Down to 7 seconds in the man advantage. A very good kill for Denver. Mermis throws it in.
Yeah, they survived a couple of big plays by North Dakota down low around the net, and then they had a couple chances. Odd number variety, though, shorthanded.
Even strength. North Dakota still leading by 2. Two nothing in favor of North Dakota. We wondered on that previous penalty kill about Denver's aggressiveness with 3 forwards. Well, part of the reason is they've lost freshman defenseman Josiah Didier to a lower body injury. His return questionable. They're already without Phillips, who was injured Thursday in the quarterfinal. They're without one of their best defensemen, Mikowski, who's been out for quite some time. They hope he might be ready to return next weekend.
So you're playing 6 games in 9 days with 4 defensemen against this team. Pack a lunch.
5 skaters aside, just over 5 minutes into this second period. Matson spins away from a check. Then lost the puck. Loney gives chase. And if Denver touches the puck, faceoff will come back in their zone, and they finally do.
If Denver's going to win this hockey game, they're going to need to take some chances. With 4 defensemen, down 2 goals, they are going to have to start really being aggressive when they get the puck on the other side of the rink. When they're in the attacking zone, they've got to pinch at the wall. They've got to send everything to the net. They've got to start finding a way to the power play. 5-on-5, they're not getting it done. And the only way to really amp it up right now is to take some chances and get North Dakota back on their heels where they're taking penalties. Denver needs a power play. They need one soon.
Gorder takes a hit. Ryder has it for Denver. Through the neutral zone. Turned over, and Sinkbeal has it for North Dakota at center. Flips it in. Mayfield back to pick it up for the Pioneers. On the right wing, it's passed too far for Dewhurst, and Simpson goes rink wide. Brock Nelson bearing down, fires, save, Okanoa.
Game-breaking save by Okanoa. He waited out. Brock Nelson went down and made a beautiful save in net for Denver.
Simpson tees it up and fires wide. Panzarella at the far point holds it in. A lot of offensive zone time for North Dakota here in the second period. Fighting Sioux leading 2-0. First period goals for North Dakota from Nelson and Ronnie. They came less than a minute apart. Parks. Bumped behind the net by Ryder. Into the circle centered. Ronnie was breaking up the slot. Now Parks again with Ronnie going up the slot. It deflects out of play. North Dakota under Dave Haxtell, year after year, has shown great improvement in the second half. Every single season they have been better after the break than they were before. And this year's no different. And in fact, take a look at what they've done just in the last few weekends. Last 14 games, their goal scoring up almost a goal per game.
Wow.
Their goals against down almost a half a goal per game.
I heard you and Casey Hankinson talk about it last night. When your win percentage is up near 71% after Christmas, you're doing something right. And Dave Haxtell and that coaching staff, time and time again, find a way to finish strong. That's terrific.
When I asked Coach Haxtell about it on Thursday, he said quite simply the big difference has been we're finally scoring goals this year. And we've been able to create some separation. Early in the year, we had so little margin for error because our scoring margin was so tight. And you saw it in those numbers. But here over the last 6 or 7 weeks, they've been doing this to people, putting multiple goals in short stints of time on the board. They did it against St. Cloud Thursday. They did it against Minnesota last night.
It makes a big difference too when you can get that offense early and play on the front end. When you're a hard team to play against, when you play that physical brand of hockey that North Dakota loves to play, it's a lot easier to play when you've got a crooked number up there on the board and the team you're playing is yet to score.
Nelson takes a hit from Mayfield and goes down. We get a whistle. Fighting Sioux with a 2-0 lead midway through the second. Oh, it's great to see the puckheads come out, isn't it?
I love the puckheads.
2-0 in favor of North Dakota. They're trying to extend a remarkable winning streak in the month of March. The last 2 years, they haven't lost a game in March. Always best to be playing your best hockey at this time of year, and can't do much better than 14-0.
No, he's got to be very happy. That man right there with that cool green tie is Dave Haxtell, and he's got his hockey team peaking at the right time. And we watched this team up in Grand Forks a couple months ago, and I didn't see it coming, not like this. And I certainly didn't see a 6-goal rally last night. A lot of character in that room, and obviously a coaching staff that knows how to push their buttons. That was an eye-popping comeback by the Fighting Sioux. That's a game that you can rely on into the NCAAs, that you're never out of it.
Gleason tried to center. Nick Shore ties up on the end wall with Lamoureux. Gleason has it for the Fighting Sioux. Corbett tried to keep it alive. It comes out to center. Gleason hammers it back in. Ryder for Denver. Long pass at center. Doremus able to play it in. Mentioned earlier that Denver is without 2 defensemen that have been lost in this series, in this weekend. They also are without Mikowski, one of their go-to guys. Keep in mind that up front, they're also missing a few of their go-to guys. Chris Knowlton out with an injury. Cole Bennett out. I mean, that you're talking about 5 front-line players not available to the Pioneers tonight.
Certainly makes a big difference, and again, you're still with some pretty good weapons out here, but when you're missing that many good players, now everybody else is ramping up their minutes and being asked to do extra things, and they're getting frustrated. They're going to take another penalty here. I think it's going to be Zucker, a blatant interference call in the offensive zone. Halfway through this hockey game, they're doing everything the wrong way. Now, Zucker's got to be careful. He's going to get an extra 2 for arguing.
Well, Zucker may be arguing. He was trying to get back on side, but you're right. It's a no-brainer penalty. He went out of his way to make contact.
And the Pioneers right now are not getting much done, and yeah, that's going to be called 100 out of 100 times. And whether you're trying to get back or not, you're responsible for your body, and you cannot take somebody else out. And you can see the frustration. I mean, you can just feel it right now, watching these guys, watching their body language, watching the way they're playing. And you can't tell me that fatigue is not a part of that frustration.
I think the argument was still over whether or not it was offside, is I guess the point I was making. I think he was still chirping at that call. Parks fires, scores! Volcanora got a piece of it but couldn't stop it. It's 3-0 Fighting Sioux.
special teams always gets magnified in the postseason, and North Dakota's power play has done it twice tonight. They lead by a 3-spot. Look at the puck movement again. No chance for Elkanora on this one. Parks had that thing lined up and waiting. Lower left-hand circle. He wasted no time. And the Fighting Sioux and their fans have taken over downtown St. Paul, and they are loving it.
The 11th of the year for Parks. Ronnie and Forbert assist on the power play goal. If you'd like to get that goal or any other highlight from the Final Five, send directly to your smartphone or tablet. Scan the QR code that you see in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, or you can text the word highlights to 234-234. 3-0 in favor of the Pioneer, or excuse me, of the Fighting Sioux. And maybe the only thing going in the Pioneers' favor right now is that, let's just say 3-0 has not been safe the last couple of days here in St. Paul.
No, it hasn't. Boy, almost an amazing acrobatic save that time by Elkanora, but you can see he got a piece of the puck, didn't get enough to keep it out of the net. Yeah, the last 2 games we watched in the semifinals, there were 3-0 leads that were blown. I'll have to see it to believe it tonight, though, the way North Dakota's playing.
Would you say it's more likely tonight than it was last night? At this point in the game last night, remember, North Dakota had 4 shots on goal.
You're right. Yeah, that's true. But knowing what I know about the schedule and the injuries and the 4 defensemen, I'll have to see it to believe it, but it's college hockey, and boy, things can change in the blink of an eye. We've learned that, if nothing else, in the last day or two.
Denver had a 3-0 lead in their semifinal yesterday afternoon, only to watch UMD rally to tie and force double overtimes. And the game to which we refer last night, North Dakota was down 3-0. At this point in the game, they had been outshot 21-4 and came back to put a whipping on the regular season champs from Minnesota, beat them 6-3. Wound up out shooting them for the game. It was 17-2 in the 3rd period in favor of the Fighting Sioux.
That momentum is clearly carried over. Took them a while to get the engine rolling again. That momentum from that great 3rd period by North Dakota is alive and kicking here at the Xcel Energy Center.
Another area where this one feels similar to last night. Remember last night, North Dakota took the first 4 penalties. Minnesota had 4 power play chances. Denver has not yet had a man advantage opportunity. North Dakota's had 4.
That has to change right now. I mean, there's no question that Denver 5-on-5 is not getting it done. They have got to find a way, by being extra aggressive, by sending a man out of the zone, by sending an extra forechecker in, pinching their defenseman. They've got to somehow find a way to draw a penalty in this hockey game, because one power play, number one, it can get you a goal, which would be great, but even if you don't score, it can get you thinking offense and get your flow back to your game. They've got plenty of skill out here to score. Right now, they're just not finding the time or the space, and they're getting run over physically by North Dakota in this hockey game.
Lamoureux drops it back in his own zone, and now McWilliam has it. Cross-ice pass, and it'll be icing against North Dakota. It was out of the reach of Lamoureux. Offensive zone faceoff coming for Denver.
What North Dakota did last night is a recipe for Denver right now. We sat in the same position last night with the Gophers leading the Fighting Sioux 3-0. They got a goal before the end of the 2nd period to make it a hockey game and make Minnesota at least think about it in that locker room at 3-1. If Denver can find a way to the net and score a goal in the final 8 minutes and keep North Dakota off the board, they have a chance to at least make this interesting in the 3rd period, but they've got to find a way right now to get to that goal. Right now, Denver's bench calling for a hold as Salazar was in check near the wall.
Calling for it because Lamoureux had him held.
I agree.
Cross to the near side. Drew Shore plays it into the North Dakota zone. Fighting Sioux able to clear, and Patton hammers it down into the Denver end. Salazar can't get it out of the zone. LaLeggia will carry to center. Now we have a penalty coming against North Dakota as Lee fires it in. Corbett gains control. We get the whistle. And Denver will go on the power play for the first time. North Dakota just cashed in on their power play. Michael Parks made it 3-0. Three-0 in favor of North Dakota, but Corbin Knight takes an interference penalty right here after LaLeggia delivered the pass. And Denver goes on their first power play of the night.
Here's the opportunity. It is knocking at the door for the Denver Pioneers. We'll see if they can cash it in or at least get some offensive flow to their hockey game. They've been throttled so far. They really haven't had time or space to really get the engine moving on their end. This, a whole different scenario. They've got plenty of skill to move the puck around and set up. We'll see if they can establish the zone.
Mayfield to LaLeggia. Back to Mayfield. Shore tried to go to the corner, knocked out of the air by McWilliam, and North Dakota's able to clear.
Board battle to the guys in green. That's been a constant theme here through the first period and a half. North Dakota's been stronger on the wall, and that's now a situation where Denver has to go back and restart the power play, and we're already 30 seconds in.
Shore tried to drop it to Zucker, intercepted by Crisco and cleared.
Just losing every battle, for every loose puck. Every 50-50 puck ends up on the guys in green stick.
Nick Shore at center. Cross ice, Mayfield. Works to the outside. Poke checked away by Forbert. Drew Shore knocks it to the corner. Nick Shore is there. He's harassed. To the near corner. Mayfield will pick it up at the half wall. Tried to throw it to the net. Forbert got a shin pad on it. Nick Shore in the corner. To the point, LaLeggia. Back down low for Shore. Bumped by Blood. Drew Shore tied up by Forbert. LaLeggia with it. Pioneers can't get it off the wall right now. Zucker tied up by Forbert. Around to the near side point. Mayfield directing traffic with just over half a minute left. Zucker waiting. To the point, Mayfield. LaLeggia. Down low, Shore. Tried to force it. Now they're up against the wall again. And Blood clears for North Dakota.
Absolutely nothing going on. You can see the frustration with the Pioneers as they head to the bench, but they had no net presence. Then they just elected to pass the puck around, and there was never a thought to get the puck on the net.
Dewhurst carries in. Fires high and wide. Picks it up behind the net. Gloves and drops. North Dakota's back at full strength. Centering pass, and Dewhurst fanned on it. Good effort by Ostro behind the net.
Smart play by Ostro. Dewhurst just couldn't corral it.
Ostro has it knocked off his stick by Knight. And Nelson carries to center. Ronnie couldn't get around Ryder's check. And now Lee has it for Denver. Less than 5 minutes to go, second period. North Dakota trying to make it 3 years in a row with the Broadmoor Trophy. Nobody's done that under the current Final Five format. Panzarella to Patton at center. Chips it off the wall and into the zone. Gleason gives chase. Lee hammers him into the boards. Patton harassed by Lee. Thrown down by Lee. And now a hand pass by Patton will bring a face-off all the way down in the North Dakota zone.
Lee getting physical in the defensive end and getting Denver down to 4 defensemen. They came in with 5, playing with 4. Lee playing a lot of minutes back there. He and LaLeggia, the top pairing for George Gwozdecky. And the Moorhead native there, number 5, doing everything he can to try to keep his team in this game. Still time for Denver. 4:23 here in period 2. Offensive zone face-off. They just need to get one. Get that fire stoked that there's a chance of a comeback. North Dakota, though, not making it easy for them in front of Aaron Dell. They have done a brilliant job, man-on-man, in the area of defensive zone coverage and board battling. They've just really throttled the offense of the Pioneers so far tonight.
Mayfield across to LaLeggia. LaLeggia dumps it in. Forbert starts out for North Dakota. His pass rolls through the feet of Corbin Knight. And Mervis is there to pick it up. LaRaza, who scored the winner to push Denver into this championship game, dumps it back in his own zone. Ronnie holds his own for North Dakota, but then Mayfield strips it away from Cristo. Mayfield pulled down, and it forces them offside. 3.5 to go, second period. All Fighting Sioux.
North Dakota 3, Denver nothing. Late in the second period of the championship game of the WCHA Final Five, and the theme tonight has been pushing Denver's offense to the outside. Aaron Dell has had a relatively easy night because look where these shots are coming from. Nothing in the slot, nothing in that grade A zone, and Aaron Dell has a good look at these pucks. And North Dakota has been a very difficult team to penetrate. Their slot area has gone unscathed throughout most of this game. That's why they lead right now by 3.
LaLeggia spins away from Gleason. To the line. Zone held by Patton. Lamoureux cuts to the slot. Patton drops it back for Gleason. And a block by Nick Shore. Lamoureux tried to walk out front. Matson's there as well. Shore tries to poke it out for Denver. Matson winds up with the puck. North Dakota has so much more energy right now. And as you say it, Zucker's back the other way. To the outside, poke checked away by McWilliam. I've been so impressed with McWilliam's presence all weekend long.
Yep, 6'2", 230. The Calgary native has been a force back there for the Fighting Sioux.
Penalty coming against North Dakota, and Denver will get another power play chance. Panzarella goes for holding.
Talking back and forth. Both these teams respond to the other, which is expected. But another power play for Denver. George Gwozdecky called some of his troops over the bench. He's got the whiteboard out looking for a little game plan here to try to get some shots to the net.
Denver takes their timeout here with 2:36 left. Last night, North Dakota took a timeout in the second period, down 3-0. Terry Eads and Dave Haxtell both told me before the game today it was not an easy decision. They don't like to burn their timeouts, but they felt at that point they had to do it. Here's what they said about the way that helped turn the game last night.
What was said was we're going to do everything we can to try to control our own play. We can't control the scoreboard anymore. We're down by 3. We're not playing well. Let's try to control our next shift. When we came to that situation, it was an icing situation. We had a tired line on the ice. We had a timeout available. Going to do everything we possibly can to make sure we don't give up that next goal. You can't take a timeout with you if you go down by 4. You know, our players reacted the right way.
It was interesting talking with both Coach Eads and Coach Haxtell about that decision today, and both said, you know, we didn't really get after our guys during the timeout. We had tried to inspire them during an earlier TV timeout, but during that timeout it was, you guys are tired, we're going to you guys, we need a good shift. And that was about it.
And it worked. I mean, they're clearly the focus level and the battle level improved from that point on of the hockey game, and they got that all-important next goal. That's where Denver's sitting right now. If you can make it a 2-goal hockey game, especially in college hockey, it's such a dangerous lead because you think you've got this comfort level, and as soon as it goes to a 1-goal lead, panic hits, and that's exactly what happened in the third period last night for Minnesota.
Very talented power play for Denver, but they've had trouble in their first opportunity tonight in the first half a minute of this one. LaLeggia lost the puck as he entered the zone. Fighting Sioux able to clear.
Don't see that spark from the Pioneers. A guy like LaLeggia normally has that electric turn of foot. They don't have the legs. You can watch hockey enough to know when a team's got their legs. They just don't.
Zucker dumps it in, and this will draw the ire of the North Dakota players as he too close to their goaltender. It does result in an offensive zone faceoff with 1:12 left in the power play.
Jason Zucker right there, the Wild draftee, is really the only Pioneer that I've marked so far tonight in nearly 2 periods of hockey that's got a little giddy up in his step. He's been able to separate a couple of times. There hasn't been a lot of support for him along the way. He's also played a real gritty game where he's been able to go to the net and right there go to the corner and not be afraid to battle, get in the face of the opposition.
Ostro wins the draw. Lee to LaLeggia. He fires off the glass over the top of the net, and it deflects out of play. I was mildly surprised that George Gwozdecky took his first power play unit off. Might be tired, but you got 1:12 left in a power play, 1:40 away from a rest at the intermission, and you're literally at do or die time in this game.
I don't think he liked the flow. I don't think he liked what he saw. And this second unit's still pretty doggone good. And watch Salazar in this sequence. The little guy wearing number 18 in white just has a knack for scoring at big moments. This would be one of those spots if he can get it done.
Here they'll be called for icing.
Nice.
Face off back in their end, and now we might get the first power play unit back. Drew Shore thought he'd be back. Funny detail about icing rules still apply when you're on the power play.
Forgot about that. He was jumping over looking forward to a little 5-on-4 time. And Denver's got to break this puck out, get in the zone, and establish something, and they're running out of time with only 52 ticks left in the man advantage.
Lee with it. LaLeggia to Loney at center. Salazar up the right wing. Around behind the net, Ostro, and now Loney battle, but the puck pops loose to Ben Blood. Blood withstands a check. Loney trying to dig it loose, and instead Lamoureux has it. Lines and fires, sends it to the end of the ice. Final minute of the middle period. 20 seconds left in the Denver power play. Drew Shore up the right wing. Fights through a hook from Cristo. Got it to Loney. A backhander saved by Dell.
Nice play by Loney to establish some spacing in the slot and then get a great little backhand in on goal. Solid save by Aaron Dell.
LaLeggia into the circle, looking for Zucker, but he was retreating because Ronnie had just come out of the penalty box. At neutral, here's Drew Shore. Fires wide.
Ben Blood got his stick down to deflect that scoring chance. Just a tiny little play that can make a big difference. That was an excellent pass by Zucker to get Shore some space. Just when it looked like there was going to be a decent scoring chance, Ben Blood with that long reach. 6'4" Plymouth native got it out there and put that puck up over the glass into the netting behind Aaron Dell. Look at how much room there was, and look at that space get closed off, and look at the reach, like a big old fishing pole. He put that stick out there and ramped it up over the net.
Offensive zone face-off opportunity for Denver. Nick Shore takes the draw but loses it to Lamoureux. North Dakota's been dominant in the face-off circle all night long.
Puck possession has gone to the way of the green. A big part of that, Anthony, is exactly what you're saying. The face-off circle. I would tab the board battles as well.
Good board battle there by Doremus. Got Zucker a chance, but it was deflected wide. And now the second period comes to an end with North Dakota in complete command. Fighting Sioux 3. Pioneers nothing. Does Denver have some magic in them? Pioneers look like they are on their way to a three-peat.
Once you get to the national tournament, and we've been a #1 seed, we've been a 4, we've been a 2, we've been a 3, it really doesn't matter. There's really not much of an advantage other than maybe you get a little bit nicer hotel, you know. So I think for us, and I would assume for North Dakota as well, it's the prestige of being able to win the Broadmoor Trophy, the prestige of being able to win the WCHA Final 5 championship.
So far, his team has put themselves in a big hole. They're down 3 after 2. We'll have highlights from the second period next. North Dakota 3, Denver nothing after 2. Welcome back inside the XL Energy Center as we continue with the Red Baron WCHA Final 5 with Kevin Gorg. I'm Anthony LaPanta. North Dakota is 20 minutes away from a three-peat here at the Final 5 as they try to make it 2 years in a row with a win over Denver in the final. They had a 2-0 lead after one, and in the second period, they played like a team protecting the lead. They got the only goal. It's our great clip of the period.
Yeah, good puck movement on the power play. Michael Parks on the weak side parks this puck right in the back of the net. The St. Louis native gives North Dakota an imposing 3-0 lead. You take a look at the stats. Red Baron sponsors them. Anthony, it's been all about the guys in green.
Only 4 shots for each team in the second period. 14-14 for the game. The difference, North Dakota's cashed in on 2 of 4 power plays, while Denver is 0 for 2. 3-0 in favor of North Dakota. The third period faceoff is next.
North Dakota will take a 3-0 lead into the third period. We're happy to be joined by Fighting Sioux assistant coach Carrie Eads. As we've seen in this tournament, a 3-goal lead is no given. What do you guys do here in the third to make sure 3-0 leads to a win?
Well, don't remind us of that, Marnie. Yeah, it's been a tough time to protect that 3-goal lead, but really we just got to have to keep doing what we're doing. We're playing a real intelligent hockey game right now. Obviously, there's not a lot in the tank on both teams. It's not a high-paced game. Very tired legs out there, so when you're tired, you got to play smarter. We're getting the puck in deep, we're grinding them down low, and the more time in their end, the better. We've really made some smart defensive plays, and Dell's been sharp, so just keep doing what we're doing.
Good luck to you here in the third.
Thank you, Marty.
Anthony and Kevin, back up to you.
Thanks, Marnie. Drew Shore, and then Doremus trying to get it into the zone, but he stumbled just enough crossing the line. 3-goal leads were twice blown yesterday, once by this Denver team, although they did come back to win in double overtime. The other by Minnesota. That's how North Dakota advanced by scoring the final 6 in a 6-3 win over the Golden Gophers. North Dakota playing with a 3-goal cushion here, 20 minutes away from a Broadmoor trophy, and with it, a #1 seed in the NCAA tournament. Interesting, all year long you watch the pairwise rankings fluctuate with each and every weekend. Right now there are 2 games left going in college hockey. Boston College with a lead in the Hockey East final after 2 periods over Maine. And this one right here. So very few variables remain. If the 2 teams with leads maintain, here's how it'll end up. North Dakota will be number 4. Here's a chance for Denver, and a backhand shot goes wide. UMD would be 7, Minnesota would be 8, and Denver would be 11. And that would mean that Minnesota as a 2 seed would have a chance, an outside chance, to be paired with North Dakota as a 1 here. The challenge for the committee would be North Dakota would be the lowest of the 4 #1 seeds. Minnesota the lowest of the 4 #2s. They usually don't put those 2 teams in the same region.
No, but they also realize you can sell an awful lot of tickets if you put North Dakota and Minnesota in the same region in this building. And boy, I mean, I think fans would just love to see those 2 teams win that first game and have a rematch on this same surface a week later. That would be really cool to see. A lot can change between now and then, and obviously the selection happens tomorrow morning. And right now, North Dakota far more worried about closing out these last 18 minutes and wrapping up the Broadmoor Trophy.
Mayfield from the point. Sidesteps a check, still with the puck. A pass for Jackson. He was tied up. Now Mayfield, top of the circle. Walks down low, tried to center. Gorder broke that up.
No room in the slot, Anthony. Once again, when Denver gets the puck attacking the offensive zone, it's just been outside shots only tonight for the Pioneers. That's a credit to North Dakota. And the way they've just focused in on playing good, sound, fundamental defense. They've won board battles, they've defended the slot, and there hasn't been odd number rushes for Denver. Denver's got great team speed. We haven't seen any of that in open ice tonight because North Dakota's played a near perfect hockey game, in my opinion, so far.
George Gwozdecky asking why this offside resulted in a faceoff all the way back in his zone. It was ruled intentional offside by the linesman.
He just said, "Are you kidding?" I love that look. Oh, that was funny.
Lelegia around to the far wall. McMillan plays it back in behind the net. Lee there for Denver. Fights through Gorder's check. Now Lelegia starts up the left side. Floats one high in the air. Icing waved off. Or was it? Don Adam, I think he was waving that the puck was not played by a high stick. It'll be icing against the Pioneers and a face-off all the way back in their zone.
Just watching the body language of the Pioneers, trying to play 4 defensemen for most of this hockey game and playing such a physical game, which you have to against North Dakota. You can just see not a lot of gas left in that tank for the Pioneers right now. And North Dakota, as I mentioned earlier, has done all the little things right this weekend. Take out the first half of the game against Minnesota, which I don't think any of us recognize this hockey team in that stance. They've been awesome.
Nelson centers, Knights, redirect, wound up wide of the net. Lee carries out for Denver. Through neutral ice, Jacobson trying to fight around a check. Corbett to Blood. Denver got their line change. North Dakota's able to get the puck out. Nelson up the right wing, waiting for support. Stops at the half wall. Dumps it down low. Knight battles there, but Denver wins. And Mayfield starts out for the Pioneers. For Shore. Nick Shore fires. Saved by Dell. Rebound. And Mayfield hit the side of the net.
A rare rebound and second opportunity for the Pioneers. Driving the net. Well played.
Cristo fires wide. Rebound picked up by Doremus on the far boards. Doremus chips it off the wall and out to center, just between the skates of Zucker. And Zarella turns it over. Doremus brings it in. Doremus works to the outside around Simpson, throws it on goal, and Dell with a save. Denver's had more time in the offensive zone in the first 4 minutes of this third period than they had in the second period altogether.
And they're trying to take a final push here to get that all-important next goal. Make North Dakota think about it. Back-to-back shifts now where Aaron Dell has been tested. First time there was a juicy rebound. That time he was able to control it. Good for him that he did, because Jason Zucker was planted right outside of the crease waiting for any mistake Dell would make.
Draw controlled by Denver. A lot of traffic, and Gleason's able to clear. Lee back to pick it up. He's harassed by Patton. Patton waiting, fires. Saved by Okanora. Lee to pick it up for Denver. Doremus chipped it to the line, but Gleason holds his own. Denver loosening their defensive zone by floating a forward. It's Zucker up the left wing. Zucker works to the outside, fires, and a save by Dell. Lelegia waiting. Center, Zucker! And Dell got the left pad on the backhand.
Best save of the night, most important save of the night for Aaron Dell, and Jason Zucker has really had a solid game for Denver. He's been their best player by far.
Corbett spins around. Zucker's hurt and heading toward the Denver locker room.
He got hit right as he was getting to the bench. I think he had relaxed, didn't see the hit coming. Might have been his own player, and yeah, he's walking down the runway. Didn't look great.
Yesterday, Denver, after letting a 3-goal lead get away, reversed the momentum, got it back in their favor, and played their best hockey in overtime. Could they be doing the same thing here in the third period? Aaron Dell stops Jason Zucker from point-blank range. It's still 3-0. North Dakota 3, Denver 0. Denver starting to apply some pressure, but then this hit on Jason Zucker sends their best player to the locker room. Have to wait to see if he reappears here in the third period.
Watching the runway, it's directly below us. We can see halfway down towards the Denver locker room, and boy, what an important piece of the puzzle he is. If Denver's going to try to get back in the hockey game, hard to envision them doing that without 17.
Mayfield and McMillan crash hard into the wall. La Raza dumps it in. McWilliam around to the far boards for McMillan. He takes a hit. At least they have ample forwards in their lineup. They had 13 of them anyway.
Yeah, they've got plenty of forwards.
And we're going to have a penalty here. A cross-checking call behind the play, and Denver will get a power play. Ronnie was the North Dakota player that was battling with two Denver players trying to dig the puck loose. Once the puck came free, he delivered a cross-check. And an ill-advised penalty for North Dakota that puts Denver on the power play.
I'm watching for Jason Zucker. Not seen him yet. Denver gets the man advantage here. 14:08 to go. It's getting late early when it comes to Denver getting back in this hockey game. This would be a perfect time to try to net a goal. At least make North Dakota think about it. Right now at 3-0, it's a pretty comfortable spot.
So it's the first power play unit minus Jason Zucker, who's one of the top power play scorers in the WCHA. Zucker this season had 9 power play goals. Teammate Drew Shore led the conference with 11. Nelson around to the far side, Mayfield. Loney takes his place on the power play unit that includes the two Shores, Mayfield and LaLeggia.
North Dakota gets the first clear. They'll get some fresh bodies on the ice for this penalty kill. Already salted away the first 40 seconds without anything coming near Aaron Dell. That's been kind of the theme throughout the attack zone time for Denver tonight. They haven't got much going.
Blood stops behind the net. Bouncing puck winds up in the corner. Loney allows Drew Shore to play it. Shore walks to the high slot, sends it down low. Back to Shore, walking down the slot. Lamoureux got enough of it to break it up. Mayfield has it taken away by Christo and cleared. North Dakota trying to change. Mayfield's back in the other way, but it's poke checked away by McWilliam and cleared by Forbert. And now a turnover. McMillan shorthanded, scores!
The cherry on top of the Sunday for Dave Hackstall's team. They are well on their way to the Broadmoor Trophy for the 3rd consecutive year. A very heady play by Mark McMillan. You could see this play setting up. He saw his man was on the backhand trying to retrieve that puck, and he knew it was go time. And he got the Jets going, jumped the play, got the turnover, and then made one subtle move to the right. Watch this little tuck right here. Gets the goaltender moving one way, rifles it back the other. 4-0. It might as well be 40-0 right now for North Dakota. The way they played defense, they have got a commanding hold of this hockey game.
To get that goal or any other highlights, sent directly to your smartphone or tablet. Scan the QR code in the lower left-hand corner of your screen, or text the word highlights to 234-234. Get them sent directly to your mobile device.
2 power play goals, a shorthanded goal, and a shutout so far in the championship game. They are peaking at the right time. Likely to be a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. They're going to be a tough team to beat. They win tonight 17-4-2 in their last 23 hockey games. Wow.
And probably the best job of getting a team geared up for the second half that this coaching staff has performed in their 8 years, because this team does not have the number of weapons some of those other North Dakota teams have had. This team had to change the way they played, had to change the way they won, had to replace, number one, all the scoring they lost from last year, but then had to deal with the injuries to guys like Grimaldi and Rodwell and O'Donnell, who are all not with them here this weekend.
It's an amazing coaching job. It really is. I mean, they are a blue-collar version of who they were the last couple of years, and they're having the same success without that firepower, with those injuries. Big part of that is coaching. Let's not sleep on the fact they got a couple of pretty good goaltenders as well. Aaron Dell and Brad Eidsness, veteran goaltenders that can get the job done at crunch time, and both have made solid contributions for the Fighting Sioux this year.
Denver's offside at the line. And we'll get a whistle. North Dakota adds to the lead with a shorthanded goal. It's 4-0 Fighting Sioux. 4-0 in favor of North Dakota. Revisit the game plan.
Well, the physical play, 24 hits. They've knocked players on the ice. They've intimidated and worn down Denver. Check mark definitely to North Dakota. Pioneers create a number of rushes. 3 isn't enough with the speed they have. They've been throttled. North Dakota's taken them away from the middle of the rink. And obviously the special teams, really that's the story of this hockey game. Denver nothing in regards to power play. North Dakota 2 power play goals and a shorthanded goal.
Adam Murray now in the nets for Denver. Juho Okanora pulled after allowing 4 goals on 18 shots tonight. George Gwozdecky had hinted last night that he might start Murray if they were to advance to tonight's game. This was before he knew that Sam Britton would face 70 shots. And it started Okanora on Thursday, said he was going to start Britton Friday, and said Murray's played so well in practice. He has put up good numbers this season. He deserves a chance to play. But then today decided to go back to Okanora. Here he'll give Murray at least the last half of the third period.
And I'd like to say goaltending's been a real difference maker for Denver, one way or the other, but it really hasn't. I mean, this game's been all about North Dakota and the energy they've possessed and the execution around that energy.
2 power play goals and a shorty. Parks fires over the top of the net. Denver gains control. Ostro fights through a check. Blood strips it away and starts back for North Dakota. McMillan to Ronnie. Murray steers that to the corner. Back to the point. McWilliam winds and fires. Blocked by Jackson. Parks fires on goal. And McWilliam had his stick broken in half on a slash from Jackson and no call.
He's arguing right now, and I really can't blame the young man. That evidence is sitting right there in the neutral zone.
Jackson was frustrated. He blocked the shot. I'm sure it didn't feel great. Looked like he caught it in the midsection. And he turned and just literally two-handed the stick of McWilliam and shattered it.
Not at a critical point, but
right here, he breaks the stick in half. I get it, it's 4-0, but
still gonna call it.
It's a couple $100. Lee in his own zone, another broken North Dakota stick laying on the ice. Blood sidesteps a check. He's harassed by Loney. Durst through neutral ice. Loney has his shot blocked by Forbert, and it deflects up into the netting. 4 seconds short of the halfway point here in the third period. Loney and Forbert exchanging cell phone numbers.
Luck in the NCAA is good seeing you. How's the family, how's school treating you? Sure, a lot of pleasantries out here when these teams get together. And right now, North Dakota has a lot more to talk about. The nice thing for these teams that do find their way to the short end of the stick, like UMD, Minnesota, and Denver, as they get to head to the NCAAs with a clean slate. Everybody starts anew, and I was very interested by George Gwozdecky's quote when you caught up with him before the game about the seeding and how, in his opinion, he's won a couple national championships, he'd know it really doesn't matter to him. And I was just taken back with the fact that he really said the only big difference is the pick of the hotels in the particular town that you're sent to.
Well, obviously there's an advantage to being the higher seed. You get an easier path through the regional. Some years that doesn't really matter because you'll end up with a powerful team as a 4 seed, maybe just a difficult matchup for your team. But the bottom line is,
you gotta win the game.
You gotta win the games, but you'd prefer to face. I don't want to bring up any sore memories for any particular WCHA team, but you'd rather face Holy Cross than Boston College in the first round.
I'm not sure about that now after watching what we watched up in Grand Forks that particular year. You're right. I mean, there is a subtle difference with who you play, but I think most of these teams that we're watching here this weekend are good enough to beat anybody throughout college hockey. It's going to come down to how they play in a lot of these games until you get to the Frozen Four when you've got to, beat the big dogs. And I was just very interested to hear what Gwozdecky had to say about that seeding, and I don't think we'll see Jason Zucker again tonight. We have not yet seen him back on the ice, and I'm sure at this point Gwozdecky sees that 4-0 scoreboard. He doesn't want to waste one of his top weapons in a situation like we have right now.
Denver has won and had postseason success in the most bizarre of fashions. One year they won the national championship. They didn't even qualify for the Final Five. They were beaten in the first round of the WCHA playoffs by Colorado College. Didn't even reach St. Paul. Still got into the NCAA tournament and then won the national championship.
It must have been the year he was talking about a 4 seed. That's remarkable to not even get here and go on that type of run. That also tells you how good the WCHA is. I mean, we've seen a ton of parity again this year, and we saw Wisconsin stretch that series with Denver into overtime of the final third game a week ago.
Christo with a shot. Nelson scores! What a weekend for Brock Nelson. 28th of the year, second tonight. It's 5-0.
He just looks like an NHL hockey player when he scores these goals. He just drives the net, he goes to the trenches, and he's a hard guy to move out of there. He's got the hockey sense to know where to go without the puck, but he's also got the wherewithal to win battles and to go through players and just really out-muscle and outwork the opposition to garner this type of look. You look at the goals he scores time and time again, it's around that blue paint. 28 this year for Brock Nelson. This top line for North Dakota right now clicking on all cylinders. They're going to review this play. There was some bumping of goaltender Adam Murray, but I really believe as I watched that play that the bumping happened after the puck was in the net.
They'll take a look. Tim Walsh visits with the officials down the way here in the Xcel Energy Center press box. Watch it again. Murray makes the first save. Christo collides with him. And now Walsh will take a look at the replay himself.
The whole key is where the contact is. Ooh.
I think this goal might be called off. He clearly makes contact before the puck's in the net.
Yeah, and again, that's great look in the truck, guys. That's much more definitive than when you're watching it live. It looked like it was well after the puck had traveled in the net. But you can see the body contact right there, and I would definitely agree with you. I would say it better than 50-50. This goal is waved off with that contact on Murray.
George Gwozdecky just waits. Now Don Adam, our other referee, joins the discussion. If it stands, Nelson will have his 28th, second tonight, 5th in the final 5.
Trying to read the body language. I think they're going to wave this off.
As I mentioned earlier, only 2 games remain in college hockey as we now will get the signal. And it is in fact no goal.
The right call. Cannot make contact with the goalie and take away the opportunity for him to make the save. And that clearly was Christo crashing the net. And it was not like Christo was trying to do that. That's the momentum from the initial shot that caused the rebound, and he couldn't slow himself down while kind of being pushed from behind. And
Dave Axtell might have been asking, you're sure he wasn't checked into the goaltender, but it didn't look like he was. There was a Denver player right there. Ronnie centers, Parks has it roll off the end of his stick. Denver hasn't had a shot on goal since North Dakota scored their 4th. Lee rolls it around to the far side. Jackson relays to center. Forbert across to Blood. Cristo pinching in, takes a bump from Dewhurst. Now Cristo and Dewhurst again tangle in the corner. Cristo still with it. Takes a hit from behind from Lee. Goes down in a heap. And a penalty coming against John Lee.
Now they'll be down to 3 defensemen, and this is right on the edge of being a major penalty. We'll find out after this short break. North Dakota 4, Denver nothing, championship game.
Already leading 4-0. North Dakota will now get a 5-minute power play after this hit from behind from John Lee. And I've been making the case all weekend. If you want to eliminate these hits from behind, you have to call these majors against the wall and force players, coaches, teams to understand that players are going to be hurt if those hits continue. And I agree with this call completely.
No doubt, it's a no-brainer. That's one of North Dakota's top players. There's no sense for that play right there. It does not help you in any regard maintain possession of the puck. It's a dangerous play that can seriously hurt the opposition, and I think the repetition of these calls will help instill that thought process and the habits when you're near the wall specifically. It's such a dangerous area, and now North Dakota can have at it on the offensive end. And if you want to send a message on a penalty like that, score a couple goals.
So Denver's a man short for 5 minutes, and they are now down, as Kevin mentioned, to 3 defensemen. Mayfield, Ryder, LaLeggia, the only 3 remaining defensemen in uniform for Denver. And we'll see if they go with the 3-forward attack. It continues a trend of majors. This is the 3rd meeting between the teams this year. There's been at least 1 major in each game. McWilliam for North Dakota took a major in the first meeting of the year, a 4-3 North Dakota win. LaLeggia and Parks both had major penalties in Denver's 5-3 win in the Saturday game of that series. And now here tonight, it's Lee putting North Dakota on a 5-minute power play. Blood fires, save by Murray. Rebound is loose. Forbert has it. To the circle for Ronnie. To the point, Blood. Forbert top of the circle. Carries down low, back to Blood. Blood waits, now fires through traffic. It was blocked, rebound. Forbert took a good whack at it, and now he tangles, and we got pushing and shoving between Jackson and Forbert.
Here we go.
Both will end up going. Forbert initiated this by taking a slash at Jackson. Plenty of guilt on both sides after the shoving started. And now teams have got to be careful, because the last thing you need is to be without a man in the first round of the NCAA tournament next weekend.
Yeah, you got to keep your head right now. I mean, the outcome of this championship, for the most part, has been decided. Nothing good could happen from any of that on either side. Too much at stake next week. And we all move forward to the NCAAs, and I think right now you've got to get, as a coaching staff, together with your bench and remind them of exactly what's at stake down the road. No need for this.
I thought Jackson taking a pretty good slash at the shins of Forbert.
Power play continues. Major penalty earlier on Lee, and North Dakota still has 3 minutes and 45 seconds of 5-on-4 time with the comfort level of a 4-goal cushion here late in the title game.
Drew Shore's shorthanded attempt goes wide. Nelson up the left wing. To Cristo in the corner. And now Shore with it. Drew Shore at center ice. Into the North Dakota zone, drops it back. Mayfield fires it through neutral. And here we see Denver once again going with 3 forwards on their penalty kill. They are so short on the blue line right now.
Done a nice job so far. Really taking out the flow of the power play for first 2 minutes and change of this North Dakota advantage.
Down to 5:35 in the third period. Lamoureux tried to cut to the slot, intercepted by Dewhurst, who clears.
Lamoureux that time jousting with big Scott Mayfield, defenseman for Denver. Both got a good solid whack in as they went to the bench, but no penalties were called. I think these officials right now are going to try to keep this clock moving. The benefit of everybody involved. George Gwozdecky almost had a haircut there as that puck came steamrolling towards the bench, but he ducked out of the way, and face-off now will be back in the Denver zone. 2:07 left in the 5-minute major to Lee in the power play for North Dakota.
I mentioned earlier the only other game still going in college hockey, Boston College and Maine. BC will win that one. They lead 4-1 with a minute to go. Assuming that there's no miracle comeback by Denver here, that means that North Dakota will enter the NCAA tournament as a 1 seed. UMD and Minnesota will enter as a 2 seed. And Denver will enter as a 3. Matson with it for North Dakota. His pass bobbled by Knight, and LaLeggia tips it to center. Nick Shore is there. Doremus on the left wing. Tries to fight around a check. He's dumped. And we will get a whistle and a penalty. That will even things up for the next minute 21. Simpson will go for tripping.
4-on-4 hockey now, 4:16 to go. Red Baron WCHA Final 5, North Dakota on the brink of their 3rd consecutive Broadmoor Trophy for the playoff championship, one of the best conferences in all of college hockey, if not the very best. What an impressive win tonight, Anthony. Just the way they just took Denver off their game. And yes, Denver was playing with tired legs, but the way this game unfolded, perfect game plan by North Dakota. Come out with that physical edge, take away the middle of the rink, and not give odd number rushes. Denver's got plenty of firepower, even with the injuries we've spoke of. Never saw them get their game going tonight. Never saw any electricity from their offense, and that's rare.
4-on-4 for a minute 6. Ronnie tried to cut to the net. Lost the puck. Tabram pins his man to the boards. And now Blood with it. Blood blocked by Drew Shore, who starts back for Denver. Shore hits the North Dakota line. Poke checked away by Forbert. They both go hard into the wall. Long shot, pad saved by Dell. And that's Denver's first shot since North Dakota scored their 4th goal of the game. The shorthanded goal by McMillan. That was about 12 minutes ago.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back, so to speak, because from that point on, whatever mojo Denver had tried to establish here in the 3rd period was gone. They came out, had a couple of good chances early in this period. Jason Zucker, before he got hurt, was lying on the doorstep, had a great chance in on Dell. Dell didn't have to make a lot of saves tonight, but he made a couple of quality saves at the right time. I look back, though, what he did against the Gophers last night when that game was 3-0. People lose that when you see a team come back and score 6 straight. How well he played to give his team a chance to rally.
Denver on the power play. Ostro taken down on the far wall by Knight, and the puck deflects out to center ice. LaLeggia brings it up the left wing. Looking, fires, deflects off the glass. Nelson relays out to center. La Raza plays it in, and this could be icing. No, they'll wave it off. Blood back to pick it up. Nelson shorthanded. Tried to sidestep Ryder, regains the puck, sidesteps another. Nelson in, saved by Murray.
How about the hands by Big Brock Nelson that time? Little dangle move. Not once, but twice, getting in alone. Heck of a save in goal by Adam Murray. Third goaltender to play this weekend for the Pioneers. And I'm starting to believe George Gwozdecky. This kid's got skills too. Wow, 3 good ones for the Pioneers.
These are the only 2 teams that won a game here this weekend. Both of them won on Thursday. Both of them won on Friday. North Dakota will escape tonight and win their 3rd consecutive. We'll be bringing the final minute 46 next.
To win the championship is special. I guess I haven't thought a whole lot about 3 in a row. They're different teams, different years, different scenarios. But for this year's team, it's an opportunity for us to win a championship, and that's really the long and short of our meeting this morning. Let's go put our best foot forward. Let's play our game. It's 3rd and 3 for both teams. Everybody's on equal footing here. It's going to be 2 hard-nosed teams that are going to go at it, and one team's going to walk away with the championship. We want to do everything we can possibly do to give ourselves to be that team.
They've done everything they could do, and they stand now 75 seconds away from that 3rd consecutive title as they lead 4-0. Tabram at center for Drew Shore. Salazar drops to Shore, who then fires wide. And with this, North Dakota will get a #1 seed in their upcoming regional. We talked earlier about the seeds. Just to put in perspective, if they bracketed the teams exactly as the rankings now indicate, here's the difference. North Dakota would get either Lowell or Cornell in the first round. The 2 teams who didn't make it here tonight, Minnesota would get Boston University, and if they win, Boston College. Minnesota Duluth would get Maine, and if they win, Michigan. Much easier road now for the Fighting Sioux, who have earned their way after a slow start all the way back to a top 4 spot in the country. It's amazing what they've achieved.
And now is the final 10 seconds. 3rd Broadmoor trophy in a row. 3 wins in 3 nights. And a lot of fans that traveled down from Grand Forks to enjoy this sound right now, the buzzer.
First team ever to win 3 consecutive Final 5 titles. The North Dakota Fighting Sioux, for the 2nd year in a row, they beat Denver. The Pioneers have now lost 3 out of the last 4 championship games. And for the 11th time, North Dakota will hoist the Broadmoor Trophy. We'll see it when we return. North Dakota wins it by a final score of 4-0. The Fighting Sioux are WCHA playoff champions for the 3rd consecutive year and the 11th time in school history. They did it tonight by dominating one of the league's hottest teams, the Denver Pioneers. Let's head down to the ice.
Now we send it down for the Red Baron 2012 Final 5 Award Ceremony.
Assisting in the awards presentation tonight, Bruce McLeod, WCHA Commissioner, and Scott Peterson, Executive Vice President and Chief Human Resource Officer of Schwann Food Company. And now, as selected by a committee appointed by the WCHA, here is your 2012 Red Baron WCHA Final 5 All-Tournament team. At forward, from Denver University, Jason Zucker. At defense, from North Dakota, Derek Forbert. At defense, from North Dakota, Andrew McWilliam. At forward, from your Fighting Sioux, Mario Lamoureux. Fighting Sioux, Brock Nelson. And in goal, from the University of North Dakota, and your 2012 WCHA Final Five Most Valuable Player, from the Fighting Sioux, number 32, Aaron Dell. Fans, we'd also like to acknowledge our second place team on a tremendous performance at this year's Final Five championship game. Please give a warm round of applause to the Denver Pioneers and head coach George Gwozdecky. And now, for the presentation of the Broadmoor Trophy. To our 2012 Red Baron WCHA Final Five Championship team, were the captains of the University of North Dakota Fighting Sioux. Please come forward to receive the Broadmoor Trophy.
Mario Lamoureux, the team captain, and defenseman Ben Blood, who's been some of the emotional leader of this team all year, hoisting the Broadmoor Trophy. Lamoureux's been one of those guys that brings energy, brings grit, night after night after night. You mentioned it during the game. Had scored only once all year, but came through with two in last night's win over Minnesota. A couple of the heroes, in fact, one's the MVP, Aaron Dell, and Brock Nelson are with Marnie Gellner.
That's right, Anthony, and it is still pretty loud down here from all the North Dakota fans still cheering. Aaron, congratulations on the shutout. Was it a little easier to handle considering the offense that your team has put up for you here in the last few games?
Yeah, it was great tonight. We carried over from last night in the third, and they just couldn't handle us.
Last night against Minnesota, midway through the second period, something changed. Something flipped in you guys, and you steamrolled some kind of momentum. Do you know what it was?
It was just some desperation came into our game, and things started clicking, and we just, I guess that's what we do.
And now you'll be able to do that heading into next weekend in NCAA tournament time as a #1 seed. How important is that to you guys?
It's unbelievable. You know, get to have the top spot. You know, it's a great feeling.
Aaron, congratulations, MVP of the tournament. Well done.
Thank you very much.
And Brock Nelson as well joins us. Brock, as I asked Aaron to be a #1 seed, considering the way you guys started this season, how much of an accomplishment is this for you guys?
It's definitely huge for our team. I know a lot of people counted us out right away with the start, both in league play and overall, but the guys battled back, and we have a great run here going, so we keep the momentum going.
What is this like to be able to celebrate with this many North Dakota fans here tonight at championship?
It's something special for all the guys here. It's all the fans here are great. They travel from everywhere, so it's fun to see all these people here cheering.
Brock, you need to go get in a team picture. There you go.
Thanks.
Brock Nelson will join his Fighting Sioux teammates 3 consecutive Broadmoor trophies, Anthony.
And Brock Nelson was such a huge part of everything this weekend. Scored the 2 goals against St. Cloud State Thursday, added another against Minnesota last night, and another here in this game against Denver. North Dakota, to put their slow start in perspective, and I asked Dave Haxtell about this before the game today. Back in November, they were swept at Mariucci Arena. The next weekend went to Bemidji and split with the Beavers. The second game was a Sunday game, and he said when we left that arena Sunday night, we hadn't played well, they had run us over, They were 2-6 in league play. They were 4-6-1 overall. Now they're heading into the tournament as a #1 seed, #4 in the country, because since that time they are 21-5-2.
Just goes to show you that in sports you can never give up. You can always find a way to overcome adversity. And this team lost a ton of scoring, didn't really have their identity at that point of the season. They had to find a new way to play. Credit that coaching staff and credit the leadership in that locker room. The leaders that we just talked about, Brock Nelson, Lamoureux, all these guys, they found a way to rise up. And once they got the ball rolling, a lot like we saw inside that game last night against Minnesota, momentum is a funny thing. They caught fire here the second half of the year, and they're going to be a very dangerous hockey team next week when we start the NCAAs.
We thought coming into this tournament that it was maybe the deepest field that we had seen in the Final Five, and it certainly played out that way. We had overtime on Thursday with Denver and Michigan Tech. We had two incredible swings in momentum yesterday. 2 times a 3-goal lead disappeared, and then tonight North Dakota caps it off. But what a weekend of hockey here in St. Paul.
Unbelievable. I'll never forget the semifinal doubleheader. You just don't see games like that very often. And we'll start with the afternoon game where Minnesota Duluth rallied from 3-0 down, had Denver on the ropes, only to lose in double overtime, and then to watch what North Dakota did last night. We've all seen comebacks, but to see 2 different halves of hockey games like we saw, 3-0 Minnesota, shots 21-4, ending up in a 6-3 North Dakota win, just goes to show you just how much talent, how much parity there is within the WCHA, and that's why I say it all the time. It's the best conference in college hockey, and I believe 1 or 2 of these teams will end up in Tampa Bay at the Frozen Four, and I wouldn't be surprised if any of these teams made a run and had a chance to win a national championship.
We know the WCHA will send 4 to the NCAA tournament. Minnesota, Minnesota Duluth, and then both of these teams, Denver and North Dakota, will advance. They'll find out their fates tomorrow. We thank you for joining us all weekend long here in downtown St. Paul for this year's edition of the Red Baron WCHA Final 5. Outstanding hockey all throughout the weekend. Great crowds celebrating St. Patrick's Day weekend. And it's only fitting that the guys in green hoist the trophy at the end.